Well, welcome to the Ricky Matthews Show, the show that every single day celebrates the people who are working so hard in the state of Mississippi to make this such a special place to live, work, and play. I hope you're having a great day as we continue to celebrate here. And, I want to look back just a little bit. The shows that we've had over the past couple of weeks have been absolutely terrific. And I want to say I really appreciate the continued feedback. People really enjoy the positive message here as we learn from so many different people the work that they're doing, not just in the community, but doing in their works. There's so much to be inspired from. Conversations like with Hunter Dawkins and Mark Henderson and Jeff Shepard from Mississippi Power Company, Chef Nick Wallace from Jackson, who's working on a restaurant concept with the team from the Walter Anderson Museum of Art in Ocean Springs. Great work there. I love having JT Mitchell and his team from SuperTalk Mississippi News every Thursday. Actually, every Friday. We recorded on Thursdays for Friday. And it's just good stuff. Lots of great conversations. I look back, I got a lot of positive feedback about my conversation with Senator Jeremy England about the legislative session. Jeremy's a smart guy and deeply, deeply engaged in the legislative process. And then got a lot of feedback from my conversation with Brandon Dardeau, the CEO from Beau Rivage, as we look back at the history of the Beau Rivage, celebrating this year-long 25th anniversary celebration of the Beau. It's amazing how time flies. My goodness, it really is. But anyway, Brandon is a good dude. He's got a great team there, and they are very, very focused on, as we have said many times. This is the Beau Rivage. There are a few people who will argue with this. Is the crown jewel of the casinos here in coastal Mississippi, and that. Over $1 billion investment in that facility, not just the original construction cost, but then the construction costs after Hurricane Katrina. They have doubled down to make this the best that it can be, and more recently has spent over $100 million just upgrading it. Because you know what? To stay on the cutting edge competitively, you got to stay on top of it. You got to continue to figure out what you can do to separate yourself aside from others. And look, make no mistake about it. The casino industry is a very competitive industry, not just in coastal Mississippi, but in the nation. Do you realize there are over 1,000 casinos in the United States today? I want you to think about that. That's very significant. So when people come to coastal Mississippi to enjoy the sunrises and the sunsets and all the amenities that the casinos bring and the water and the beach, and one of the unique drives down Highway 90 is I've been told, only one like it in the United States, somewhere in South Carolina, where you can have this live oak, tree-lined drive with an unencumbered view down to the south. It's very special. We take it for granted, that's for sure. But thank God we've got people who are continuing to work to make this such a great place to live, work, and play. So with all that said, I'm really thrilled to have my first guest, or my guest, actually it's going to be with me the whole show today, my friend Angela Singletary. We've talked before with Angela about her successful life and wellness coach and the fact that she's a best-selling author and a motivational speaker. She's the executive director of the Bethesda Free Clinic. We'll talk more about that here in just a second. She's a good friend. We used to work together at the Sun Herald. And ironically, she used to work with many of the people who I work with today in the radio business. So we've touched each other's lives in so many different ways and saw each other recently, I might add. And we'll talk a little bit about that here in just a second. But without any further ado, let me welcome Angela Singletary back to the Ricky Matthews Show. How you doing, Angela?
I'm so good. How are you, Ricky?
I'm doing great. Listen, it was great to see you recently. We had an open house for the chamber. It was a business after hours event for the chamber at the offices for SuperTalk Mississippi Media Gulf Coast, that has multiple radio stations underneath one roof. And watching you sort of work the crowd, and first of all, know so many people there on the radio side, that was something to watch. A lot of people wanted to get their picture taken with you. You're like a celebrity in the room, but it was great to see you there, and clearly you were thrilled to see all of your old friends.
I was literally giddy. Like it was just, I haven't really been back, and I don't even know if I've really ever been back since I left, 20 something years ago. And it was just magical. It really was.
It's saying something really. If you think about this for a second, we saw this a lot at the Sun Herald. A lot of long-term employees, a lot of people who came there and stayed there the rest of their careers, and you don't see that very often anymore. People, it has something to do with the new generation or whatever. It's just the way companies are today. I mean, it's just different. People aren't as loyal to one company as they used to be, so they move around a little bit. The grass is always going to be a little bit greener on the other side. But we were used to, at the Sun Herald, seeing people who'd been there for a very long period of time, and the continuity that create around that and the sense of loyalty is very significant. In the radio business, kind of the same. Well, I would say kind of the same thing. The truth is, in the radio business, as I have learned, it's been going through so much change, just like in some respects close to like newspapers. To find a radio group like SuperTalk Mississippi Media where there's so many long-term employees still there, that is incredible. What a testament to this company. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, when I was in radio, originally when I went to Loyola, it was for broadcast journalism because of people like Kyle. But no offense, I had no desire to stay in this market. Like I had bigger market dreams, which is typical for a radio station. So I just love that Scott and Kenny and Kyle and everybody are still there. It also really lends to what they do for us on the coast, right? Like because they're real coasties, like them being on the radio to me means a little bit more.
No, I'm with you 100%. I mean, the commitment. I've watched what Steve Davenport, the owner of SuperTalk Mississippi Media, and Kim Dillon, the president. I've watched them, especially as it relates to the SuperTalk Mississippi network that this show is part of. Their commitment to local is really incredible. You and I talked about this before, but they waited over 4 months for me to say yes. And Steve later told me he knew that I was going to say yes. He just needed me to come to that realization because he was offering me the opportunity to do this job. They set up the studio in my house and whatever, but I was retired. That was I wasn't sure I wanted to be married to a show, but now here we are 4 years later. I have gotten so much from this. And especially watching their commitment, while so many radio stations are moving away from local, these guys are doubling down. And listen, I had a conversation not too long ago with, actually a number of people. We've had a series of shows about the Monkey and WCPR and all these different parts that are part of SuperTalk Mississippi Media. And one of the conversations we zeroed around CPR being the sponsor of a big concert actually a series of concerts at the Mississippi Coast Coliseum that were sold out. And you start to realize that what Scott and the team at WCPR, along with Kenny and Kyle, was there in the early days of that show, that radio station, what they've done to build this very special rock station, and they go through this. They've done it for over 20 years, this process of selecting the music every Tuesday, and they still do it today. And now they have generations of people coming to the same program. And people wonder, do people still listen to the radio? And then you hear the folks at the Coliseum talking about how successful these concerts are because WCPR was behind it. And there's literally no doubt about it. The success is just incredible. But it just shows when you pay close attention, when you adjust to the local market, and as you pointed out, have people who are local, it makes a huge difference. It really does. I mean, we saw that at the Sun Herald too, didn't we?
Oh, absolutely. And, when I started at the Sun Herald, even when I left, it still was, but especially when I started, it was like the place because first of all, nobody left. So if you got a job there, it's because somebody retired. And so, and because the teams were so good, you didn't just hire, I was about to say they, but you didn't just hire anybody. So it was really a priceless place to work. And I saw Anita and Margaret last week, and when we see those people, it's like you never left. It's just the
Yeah.
coolest. I'm really lucky to have that.
I talked to Anita a couple of weeks ago, and it's so weird because I haven't talked to her in a long time. Now, we've exchanged notes and whatever, but I haven't actually heard her voice in a long time. And it was like we had just talked yesterday. I mean, she's so committed. I hate what has happened to the news business. It is what it is. The digital tsunami has undermined the business model for newspapers, and that's just the reality. But the fact that just Blake and Anita and the team, a big some of the biggest players on the journalism side are still there making an impact in Coastal Mississippi. I'm glad to see that. Hey, listen, when we come back on the other side, we'll continue our conversation with Angela Singletary. I'm curious what else is going on in her life. We're going to actually zero in specifically on the Bethesda Free Clinic in Ocean Springs, and she's got a good report to give about progress she's making there. We'll see you after this. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank studio. I have my dear friend Angela Singletary with us today. She's actually the executive director of the Bethesda Free Clinic. We'll talk about that here in just a second. But she's a successful life coach. She's worked with, as a wellness coach. She went to Tulane and got her degree, and she's just been doing a lot of stuff. She's been a motivational speaker. But I'm curious, actually, within the guise of Bethesda Free Clinic, that we'll define here in a second, are you able to find time to still coach people?
Yes, actually. So the clinic is run by 3 part-time staffers, and the rest are volunteers. So I'm actually part-time. And so I have to make time for that because I'm a single mom of 3, and Bethesda doesn't pay the bills all the way. So yeah, I do. I make time for it.
Well, good. Well, how's that part of your business going?
It's actually going really well. I've just finalized my programs that I'm going to launch in June. So I'm so glad you asked. Because I get to focus on female entrepreneurs and help them with their marketing plan, because I have such great experience from the Sun Herald selling advertising, and also help them with the actual life part, because as a business owner, you're still a human. And so I get to work with them on both of those. I'm excited.
Well, that's awesome. You and I have had a lot of conversations about the stresses that especially women, but everybody, especially entrepreneurs, are under to achieve and find balance in their lives and, successfully overcome whatever adversity they face and focus on reaching their goals and learn from their mistakes. I mean, if you're not making mistakes, you're not learning. Yep. But you spend a lot of time talking to people about that, don't you?
I do, because I think shame is really the thing that keeps so many of us, especially women, and especially business owners, stuck. And shame is necessary to help you learn, but not necessary to drown you. Failure is just data. Just learn from your mistakes. And maybe the learning is, you know what? I'm not doing that anymore. So quitting isn't necessarily failing.
Okay, so let's do this. We'll come back to some of that if we have time after we've had the conversation about the clinic. But tell us about the clinic. It's doing so much good work. You came in there and you've been kind of managing it and sort of helping it kind of raise its internal goals and external goals. Give us a sense of what it is and what you're up to these days.
Yeah, so I took on this position as executive director for Bethesda Free Clinic in last June, and it's been a journey. It was outside of my typical wheelhouse. I do have a bachelor's from Tulane in wellness coaching, but I'm not a doctor. I've never worked in a clinic, but I saw the need, and the board believed in me, and we've really worked to implement a lot of structure and blah, blah, blah that y'all don't really want to hear about, but a lot of background stuff, just really building a foundation for the clinic. It's been around for 14 years. It was run by the 2 people that founded it, and they did an amazing job. When they left, though, there wasn't a lot of structure left. And so I got to come in and kind of build that. And now we're launching our fundraiser to be able to help us grow, because now we have an actual growth plan.
Yeah. So if someone, okay, so basic healthcare includes general care and overall wellness checks, cold, sinus infections, etc. Wellness
Mhm.
consulting for high blood pressure and diabetes patients,
Mhm.
minor aches and pains and lacerations, and uh, and then limited on dental. I'm assuming still, but other than maybe the extraction part of it, but it's a good stopping place. If someone doesn't have insurance or having some financial challenges, you guys
Mhm.
can kind of do a triage and then hopefully help direct them where they need to go if there's something more serious that needs to be attended to.
Right. We're the only clinic on the coast that has no barriers. And it is basic care, like you said, but we're a really great starting point. Don't go to the ER, where you're going to end up with a bill or possibly get sicker. Don't go somewhere that if you can't afford your copay or your deductible. Just come see us. Let us kind of get you, like, know what's going on. And then if we can't help, like you said, we can refer out to other places and help you find resources. Getting well is the key, and it's the only way that we can grow as a state, but much less as a coast.
Hey, what's sustained you? Because unless it's changed, the last I had read about you guys was there's no state or federal grant money coming to you, so it's really focused on contributions and volunteers and et cetera. So, what's the financial backing behind your organization?
We do not take any state or federal grants because we don't want to have to implement any rules that cause a barrier to healthcare. So currently, we just rely on sponsors and donors, and that's honestly why this fundraiser that we have is going to be a big deal for us because it's going to help us be able to grow. So dental, it is extractions right now. We want to grow that. We want to be able to help more people. That's where our biggest waiting list is with dental. So this event will help us with that because we don't take the federal or state grants.
So, what kind of fundraiser are you guys having?
I am so glad you asked, Ricky. So we're doing a lip sync contest and spaghetti dinner. So we're going to have teams that raise funds and lip sync for us to entertain. And then the St. Alphonsus Casey Hall is hosting us, providing amazing spaghetti dinner, salad, beer, wine, tea, water, etc. The pasta performers will compete for the Chef's Kiss trophy, and the winner gets to keep the trophy for a year, and then we'll pass it on to the winner the next year. It's just meant to be really fun, but also, very like grassroots, just like the station, just like us. Like we believe in just that local, homey feel. So we're excited. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Give me some details. Where, when, how do
Ah,
people get more information, et cetera?
June 8th in Ocean Springs at St. Alphonsus Hall. Our website has the links to sign up as a performer, as a sponsor, or to buy tickets. So we need people who want to perform, have a good time for a good cause, people who want to sponsor and help us continue the work we do at the clinic, and then people who just want to attend and just hang out. And all of that is on our site. It's BethesdaFreeClinicGC.com.
Okay, so let's talk about some specifics. First of all, as it relates to the clinic itself, it's not open 24 hours a day. So give people a sense of when they can go there and where it is.
So we're in Ocean Springs. We're on Washington, just south of the interstate. We're a little bit camouflaged because we're in the building with the tax assessor and the tags and things like that. So we're on the north side of that set of buildings. We take walk-ins and appointments. We currently are open Monday through Wednesday, 9 to noon, but part of our growth plan is looking to extend those hours or days. And but we do take walk-ins. I always recommend call first just to make sure you're not, going to be waiting too long. Dental, however, is appointment required because we have such a waiting list. So our number is 228-818-9191. And they can just give us a call and make an appointment, leave a message because we are volunteer run. So we don't always get to answer the phone, but we will call you back.
Hey, so look, what you've relied on, the success of Bethesda has been based on volunteer doctors and volunteer nurses. How is that going?
It's good, but we need more. Some of our volunteers have been with us a long time, and a lot of those volunteers were retired and then volunteered. And so now a lot of their grandkids are really like, hey, remember us? And so I am looking for volunteer doctors, nurses, and dentists to help fill those gaps. And again, it's part of our growth plan because we know the need is here and we want to be able to fulfill it.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I thought about, I had a friend of mine, a really good friend of mine, who had some medical issues, and he didn't have a long-term relationship with a doctor, and he was very hesitant to go get checked, And I used to say, man, look, you just need to develop a relationship with a doctor. He said, well, look, I can't afford deductibles. I can't do this. I can't do that. And he just kind of didn't pay attention to his health the way he should have. This would have been a good solution for him, to be able to come here and where it wasn't going to cost him anything, and he could have someone say, you know what, you may have a little something important going on here. Let me give you some advice on how we can address that. And it may be that Bethesda is not addressing it, but you're giving them sound advice about what the next step ought to be. I bet you see those kind of patients regularly.
We really do. And we've been lucky to be able to see some patients who have, just diabetes issues or just blood pressure issues, as they say. But as we know, it's not just like those are major issues. And if they go on and on, then it can cause very long-term situations for them that could be irreversible. And so when we're able to say, hey, did you know that you have diabetes? And they're literally clueless that they didn't. And then we can help them with medication and with education, because we have a registered dietitian that helps us as well. It's what we're here for. That's what drives us, literally.
Well, that's so interesting. Hey, listen, when we come back on the other side, as we continue our conversation with Angela Singletary about the Bethesda Free Clinic, actually, in Ocean Springs, I want to talk a little bit more about what keeps her motivated to want to help continue to build this. Her excitement level is high, and the better they do with their fundraising, the more days and more hours they'll be able to provide. And then, of course, if you're a volunteer or someone who's interested in volunteering, you could be a retired nurse or doctor. This would be a great way to go provide a couple of hours during the week that could really help an organization like this. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Angela. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank studio. I have my friend, and I do say friend because we go back a long way. We used to work together at the Sun Herald, and then we have this radio connection. She actually worked with the group of radio stations that most of my team was part of, and then they were purchased along the way by SuperTalk Mississippi Media. And it's interesting to see, Angela Singletary, she's the executive director of Bethesda Free Clinic. Angela, it is a small world at the end of the day, isn't it?
The coast especially, my goodness.
Doesn't it blow your mind? People who burn bridges?
Oh, man. Yes. I didn't think that's what you were going to say, but yes. Yeah. Or yes.
Yeah. I mean, what I say, yes. Here's what I think. I think it's, what goes around comes around. Eventually our paths will cross again. And listen, when I was publisher at the Sun Herald, you can only imagine we were involved in some really tough stories and our tough editorials where we went against groups or elected officials or whatever with positions that we were taking. And people would get so mad. And, of course, I would tell Ann in the mornings, I'd tell her, okay, I'd read the paper, and then I would say, this is not going to be a good day today. But I could think about a lot of people who might be a little bit upset about the editorial. Maybe we launched a new investigative series that's not going to be good. And I'd go to work, and I would expect the phone to ring off the hook, and it wouldn't ring at all. And I was like, wow, that's a big surprise. I expected a lot. And then some days I would tell Ann, man, this is going to be a smooth day today. And then I would go to work, and the phone would be ringing off the hook. But I encountered a few people along the way who were bridge burners. That's the best way to put it. And what's interesting, even with the bridge burners, I prayed about them. I figured eventually time heals and we would come back together again and we would run into each other. And I would say, I never, maybe we didn't agree on that issue, but to me, that didn't define who we were together. And I would always try to be the bigger guy in that conversation. But maybe it's because I'd been through it so many times. I came to appreciate that I can't harbor any ill will for anyone who's going through a tough moment, who may have lashed out at me because they saw me as the leader of the company. But so that's a more exaggerated point that I'm making about people who burn bridges. But there's a lot of lessons to learn in saying, look, we can disagree on this issue, but let's not let that define who we are. I bet you've coached people through a lot of that, because relationship. The ability to build and keep relationships are a big part of our sanity, at the end of the day. And some people just have more trouble with the relationships than others. And that's just the reality. And you spend a lot of time thinking about that, don't you?
Yes, I do. So one of my favorites, so The Four Agreements is a book that I try to revisit yearly. It's an incredible, very small book. And my favorite agreement is nothing is personal, because truly nothing is personal. When people are lashing out on you, it's something that's going on with them. And of course, as a human, we need to make sure that we're not, am I the jerk? No. But, in the end, if I'm like, no, I'm not the one that's in the wrong, you have to just find compassion. Because like you said, and I'll tell an honest little story here. When I left the radio station, I didn't know if Kyle was going to talk to me, because, I was a jerk. Honestly, I was young and immature and entitled probably. And, and luckily he's not a grudge holder, and I'm much older now, and we love each other greatly. But that reminds me, when people are acting that way, that you just let it go, because it's not about me.
Hey, Kyle, jump in there. Give me your perspective on what she just said.
I don't even remember the circumstances. So, yeah, no idea.
Yeah, and
I'm not telling them, because they're real embarrassing.
But you know what? That's so interesting. Everyone goes through those moments in their lives. They just do. Yeah. And you can say you don't, but everyone has faced some type of adversity that maybe they didn't respond properly, or they didn't react properly, more or less, because there's a big difference between responding to something and reacting to something. But, people, as a general rule, face those moments, and it affects the people around them. And, some people emerge from that and don't ever think about it again. And some, like you're looking back, and Cal doesn't remember a darn thing about it, and you're wondering about it. So it's so interesting. And that's been over 20 years ago, right?
But I think it has. And that goes back to shame, though. I think that shame is such a thing that can get us so stuck. And we really have to not allow it. We have to forgive ourselves. And then, if you need to, seek forgiveness as well from whoever. And then just let it go. Like, we hold on to stuff so much, and it just eats away at us for no reason.
Yeah. That's really good advice. So coming back to Bethesda, if someone were to go there, and they, again, it's on just south of I-10 in Ocean Springs on Washington Avenue. It's in the same building as the tax assessor's office. Mm-hmm. No relationship at all.
No.
In one case, they're taking money away from us. In the other, they're trying to make us better, But anyway, the reality, though, if someone walks in there, does it feel like a clinic? Does it feel different? Give us a sense of what it feels like.
No, it feels like a physician's office that you want to go to. One of the first things that I did when I started was redecorate, so to speak. It's the old health department, and there were a lot of those kind of posters on the wall. But first of all, we don't see kids. So I really wanted to just take all the kids stuff out, because we only see adults. And then I started to think about how people who need our services feel, because if they need our services, they may be doing other things that they need services with. And those experiences aren't always the most compassionate. And I wanted us to lead with compassion. Our physicians are already compassionate, but I wanted the place to feel that way. So we have posters of local photography that a local photographer donated to us. We have a Christmas tree that gets decorated every season by my assistant director. And our front desk person is just sunshine and lollipops. And so I'm extremely proud of the way the clinic feels and how we make people feel.
Yeah, that's so interesting. One of the things when I talk to healthcare professionals along the coast, there are two, actually, they're kind of related, to be honest with you. One is the discussions around addiction, whether it be drug or alcohol. And the other is, and it's obviously related, is the issue around mental health. And, mental health is a big, big issue. I've had a little bit of a discussion about that with Hunter Dawkins, who's the owner and publisher of the Gazebo Gazette here in coastal Mississippi. He's very concerned. He doesn't think that our legislature spends enough time talking about mental health and doing things about mental health. And in my conversations with Paige Roberts, the executive director for the Jackson County Chamber, and with Singing River Health System, we've been having lots of discussions around teen suicide and those things. And what ends up happening within the context of those conversations is the shortage of healthcare professionals that you can immediately send someone to. Of course, that's no reason not to seek help. And if you need help, someone somewhere is going to be able to get you the help you need, at least in the short term. But how often does mental health issues come to bear there? And how often does drug or alcohol addiction become an issue there as well?
I think, and I'm going to bring it back to shame again, because often, we get stuck in what I call the shame spiral, and we seek ways to make ourselves feel better. And that can be something as simple as cigarettes or something as hard as, hard drugs. And if you find yourself in a financially tough situation, there's going to be shame, and there's going to be often those kinds of things. So one of the things that we've done is create a partnership with 4 core organizations on the coast. It was one of the first things I did, because I knew that we would get these issues, but I didn't want us to try to spread ourselves thin and solve all the problems. I want us to focus and be experts at what we do. So we refer out to, have a really great relationship with Singing River Mental Health Services, and we refer out to them for any mental stuff. And our doctors and nurses and front desk person are really good about making referrals and recommendations without it sounding like a judgment. And then we're also connected with Homes of Grace as well. And I'm working on another connection with a female-centric space. So those are all, if we get them better, if their diabetes is managed, but their addiction is out of control, or they're, extremely depressed, what good does that do? So we get to refer to each other, because we all understand that's the situation, and that we need to get these people whole again is the main thing.
In both cases, Singing River Health Systems, that I've had a number. I tell you what, we're at the end of this segment. I'll say what I was going to say when we come back on the other side with Angela Singletary from Bethesda Free Clinic. We'll see you after this. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank studio. We have Angela Singletary, who's the executive director for the Bethesda Free Clinic at Ocean Springs. Take the Ocean Springs exit, go south. You'll see the tax assessor's building. They're kind of hidden in that building, but it's in that basic area, and you'll find them. They're open Monday through Wednesday, I think 9 to 12, right, Angela? Right, 9 to 12. They have volunteer doctors and nurses that are there, and they do a wide variety of stuff. They do general care, overall wellness checks, and minor aches and pains and lacerations, but they can give you counsel. When we went to break, though, we were having a conversation about when there is some type of addiction or when there's some type of mental health issue. There are 2 partners they're currently aligned with. One is Homes of Grace. I'll say a couple of words about that. And the other is Singing River Health Systems. And they're working now on the addiction side to find a woman-centric partner. And they're obviously involved in some discussion about that. So I'm sure they'll announce something soon about that. But as it relates to Singing River Health Systems, I've had the opportunity over the course of a long period of time here on doing the show over the past 4 years through COVID and beyond, getting to know lots of the professionals there, the CEO of the hospital, people who work inside the department. As you know, Shannon Wall, who was the publisher at the Sun Herald and worked in advertising at one point. I had the pleasure of being part of the effort to hire her to the Sun Herald, is the marketing director now for Singing River Health Systems. And they do a lot of outreach. So the work that they're doing with Paige Roberts on teen suicide and beyond, especially around mental health, is so important. And I just can't say enough good things about the work that they're doing in the community. I could say the same thing about Homes of Grace. And I would say sort of the poster child for the success story for Homes of Grace is Todd Trenchard, the director of the Baco Foundation of South Mississippi. Todd went to get help over 30 times. Okay, that's how many times he had to go and get help. And on the last time, his mother dropped him off at Homes of Grace. She expected him to die. She said goodbye to him. And that experience at Homes of Grace literally set a new course for him. But he had been to 30 treatment centers. And that just goes to show you can't give up on family members. You can't give up on friends. They go through a couple of rounds of some type of addiction therapy, and then they don't have success, and you give up on them. Todd, over 30 times, and now he's leading one of the most important foundations in coastal Mississippi. It's just a great statement about we got to be patient, we got to be supportive, and we can never give up, because we're talking about someone's life that we're talking about here. Homes of Grace brings that kind of energy to the conversation. So many success stories. But
Ricky, I think that kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier about burning bridges. I mean, same but different. Sometimes when people are in the throes of addiction, you get so angry with them that you burn that bridge with them, but then you feel like they burned a bridge with you. I think you're right. It's important to have compassion. It's hard. It's easier said than done. But I think I would just suggest that nobody ever close that door completely. Always. Sometimes you have to put space, but like you said, it's not personal.
I agree. I agree. My dad used to say, it's hard to rationalize irrationality, And then when you have an irrational person you're dealing with, it's easy to react to them. But the other thing he would say is bite your tongue and let the blood trickle, because, you're the rational person in the conversation. But too often we try to rationalize irrationality, and addiction is not rational, and it takes time. And again, in Todd's case, over 30 times before he found the peace of where he is today, and celebrating every year that he has remained clean and addiction free. And it's just an amazing story. But that's what Homes of Grace did for him. And so the opportunity someone has, so you might find someone who has dual issues. I mean, they have both a mental health issue, an addiction issue, and they have physical ailments that have to be dealt with. In most cases, that's probably there's going to be levels on the continuum, but most of the patients you deal with, that fits to some extent their description, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And then you tie in unhoused people, and then it's just a whole circle. So Back Bay Mission is another one of those partners that we created, and we actually are finalizing a deal with CTA to be able to get their people over to us once a week, because they obviously have that need as well. And it's all connected, unfortunately. But now that we know that, we can work as a team instead of, just doing one little piece at a time.
Yeah. Back Bay Mission, if you know someone who's in an abusive relationship, man, what a great process they have in place, and the confidentiality.
That's a different organization. That's a different organization. That's the Center for Nonviolence.
Oh, right. Thank you for correcting me, but that's still true for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm with you on Back Bay Mission for sure.
Yes.
But listen, we're out of time. Angela, it's been a pleasure to catch up with you.
So good.
Yeah, it's so good, so good. Keep up the great work, and let us know when you increase your hours or do something exciting, and we'll have you back on.
Thank you so much, Ricky. I appreciate all you do for the coast.
Yeah, thank you so much. This has been Angela Singletary from Bethesda Free Clinic in Ocean Springs. If you know someone who needs help, go to her. You'll be glad you did. See you later, Angela.